everyone. Hi, Robin.
Hi. So I have a better background I'm gonna use that I couldn't upload until I was on. But we got a really cool new one.
So as everyone's logging on, Robin is one of the leaders of Network Nova, who are the badass women of Virginia.
Yes, we are. Isn't that cool? Love the background. I love the background too. Isn't it great? Our designer really knows how to make bold statements on it. It really wasn't made for a Zoom background, but it's hot off the presses, so I'm using it anyway. In fact, our real ad for it is, if we're just doing show and tell. Look at all these women that are running in Virginia. That's a lot of friends, huh? Hello, Fennell, one of our heroes.
Hi, how are you?
You are right there. How do I do it? Right.
And I am
really this big.
I was trying to figure out how to live stream this to Facebook because our person who usually does that is not feeling well tonight. So
Looks like you got it.
we'll just see if it's going to the right group though.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, it
I have
is.
been-
Yay!
Yay. I have been psyched for this call for a couple of weeks. So I'm very, very excited to get going here. Folks, if you can just, as you're strolling in here, just leave your name and where you're from in the chat. And so we know where everybody's coming from. And we'll get started in just a minute.
And happy Indigenous Peoples Day. It's nice to say that for a change.
It is. I am so excited to get this call started. We just a couple of reminders as you're strolling in. Keep strolling in here. So put your name and where you're from in the chat, so we know where everybody's from. And just a reminder that if you can, instead of asking, if you have questions for us or for any of our guests while the call's happening, if you can put those questions into the Q&A instead of into the chat, they're much easier to track in Q&A. There's a Q&A button there. So, and looks like Kim joined us. Hey, Kim.
And I think Deborah is going to be joining around quarter after. So
Fantastic.
I was sitting on something else, I don't know, but it was a pretty picture of the Capitol and I was waiting and I said, I don't think this is right.
You made it. So, hi. So it's a couple minutes after. Why don't we go ahead? We just have a couple of quick sort of announcements for folks as we're getting our visitor count keeps ticking up. People are excited about this call. I'll say one last time, leave your name and where you're from in the chat, so we know where everybody's from. Use the Q&A button instead of the chat if you want to ask questions, because it's easier to track. And then just by way of announcements, these democracy briefings, a lot of the time, our focus is, especially through this summer, has been on the ups and downs and travails of federal legislation for voting rights and for progressive legislation that we're trying to get through Congress. That's not the subject of tonight's call. Tonight's call is spotlight on Virginia, which we're really excited about. Crucial election coming up in November. Have some great guests, candidates, and folks from the grassroots there in Virginia. But by way of just quick update about the other stuff that we've been focusing on, there's not a whole lot of update from the last time we called, or we had a call. The Freedom to Vote Act is basically in the back seat until the Senate and the House can come to terms on the budget bill through reconciliation. So we keep hearing that it's still top priority and they intend to get it done, but this spending bill has to come first. So the long ride for voting rights continues, but we will continue to stay on that, and we'll continue to have social media storms about it to help inform everybody about what's in that bill and also what's in the Build Back Better bill, and try and bring up public consciousness about how important those two big pieces of legislation are. So we will continue to communicate with you about those things and all the ways that we communicate with you on social platforms and via email and via text and on these calls. So stay tuned. And with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Jamie.
Hold on just 1 second.
Oh, and by the way, I always get yelled at for this because I always forget to say who I am and what DemCast is. So sorry about that. I'm Nick Knudsen. I'm the executive director at DemCast. If you haven't been on these calls, we host these calls about once every 2 weeks to focus on critical issues in our democracy. DemCast is a 501c4 nonprofit organization, and we're dedicated to helping lift up the voices of the grassroots and both candidates and individuals and organizations who need help spreading their voices in the digital space. So now I'll hand it over to Jamie.
Well, welcome everybody. Virginia is, all eyes need to be on Virginia. What happens in Virginia dictates what happens in 2022. So we need to get pumped up, fired up, ready to go. And we have some amazing candidates in Virginia. I'm from Utah. I am jealous every time I see these guys. It makes my heart go, oh, maybe I should move to Virginia to have real representation. So we're gonna start off with Robin because they have a fabulous rally coming up on Thursday that we'd love to get everyone talking about.
All right, well, I'm going to put stuff in the chat right now. And one of my partners, Catherine White, is in the audience, so we can make her a co-host. She can come in, a panelist, she can come join. But I'll start by talking, there she is. I'll start by talking about our rally. And then also, can I show our graphic? Because it shows all these lovely ladies in it. And I put the information about the rally in the chat.
Yes, I did too, because we're always on it over here in Virginia. Hi, Robin. Great to see everybody. Oh, and Fennell's here. Woohoo!
Yes, Fennell, Debra, and Kim.
Everybody,
Rockstar lineup.
It is a rock star lineup.
It
So our rally is Thursday night, and what we decided to do is that we have so many amazing women running that we wanted to bring them all in one room and rock it. So you're going to see all these women. They're going to give us a hot minute of why they believe they will win. We also have some real top line speakers, and I'm going to let Catherine talk about those. But because it's a Network Nova production, and those who know us know that we believe that fighting in the grassroots can be fun and enjoyable. So we're going to have singers, we're going to have people reading poetry, we're going to have prizes and games, surprise guests. It's going to be one rockin' hour. So while I put the graphic up, I'm going to let Catherine.
Yeah, I love that. I love the surprise guest because that's always a surprise, right? You never know. But the cool thing about Virginia in 2018, from all the work we did, we were able to elect 3 women to Congress. So we will have Jennifer Wexton, we'll have Abigail Spanberger, and of course, Elaine Luria. And we know Virginia Beach is really a hot mess, and we need to do everything we can to get people activated down in that area. So we do have the top congressmen. We have Terry McAuliffe's wife, Dorothy McAuliffe, who herself is an advocate for women's rights and women's issues. So that's awesome. And we will have also different kind of speakers. We try to go, from around Virginia. So we do have Hampton Roads, Newport News with Andrea McClellan, who ran also for lieutenant governor, and Hala Ayala will be there, and she's the candidate on the ticket. And like we said, poet Dory C. Scott. We have singers, Justice songwriter and singer Chris Matthews, and also B.J. Lark from Roanoke, who is also a Justice singer. So there it is. Thank you. So you can see it yourself. We have, just keep adding people. And I love graphics because as soon as you put them up, people are like, well, why aren't I on the graphic?
Yeah.
We're like, answer your email. Oh, Kim. Yeah, we're like, hey, Kim. Yeah, Kim needs to win. She's awesome. So with that said, we like to have fun and we like to win. 2 things we like to do: have fun and win. And that's how women rock it. And we will make sure. I just heard Stacey Abrams is coming to Virginia. She'll be in Norfolk. She'll be up here in McLean. Everybody in this room, if Nick and the DemCast team could help us elevate this, you rock. And I will zip it. There's a lot to get to tonight. We have great speakers. And thank you very much for hosting.
Well, I want to do a quick introduction of everybody. Debra is running in District 27. This race was lost by 889 votes last time. Tiny little margin. We have Kim. That race was only lost by 500 votes. And we have Fennell, who is District 100, only 800 votes. That is so doable. So why don't we start out by asking everybody, why is Virginia so important? Why should everybody care so much? I don't think we have Debra for too long, so we'll start with her because I want to make sure we spotlight her since I know she's got a family obligation tonight.
Okay, so I can tell you why I believe Virginia is so important, because the Dems having the majority, they have done great things in a short amount of time. And it is just so important that we get to continue to do that work and expand upon that work. We here in Virginia, they have increased our voter rights and protections. And we know, first of all, as soon as if the Republicans win, then they're going to roll that back just as quickly as they can. We started making progress on criminal justice reform, as well as gun control, which will also be rolled back. And we don't even want to start talking about Texas and how they really want to turn Virginia into another Texas, and we cannot afford to go back. So as Virginia goes, so goes the nation, because everybody has eyes on us. This is the implications for the midterm. So we have got to energize and get our base more enthused. They are getting there. It's a slow burn, but we need for that burn to amp up, because their side, they're angry and they're motivated to, quote, take this state back. So we cannot let that happen. We've made great strides in worker protection and increasing the minimum wage. We've made environmental strides. We just cannot, with this slate of officer candidates that we have on the Republican side, we cannot allow them to take control of our state again. So that's why Virginia is so important.
All right, who wants to go next?
I don't even know how to add to that, Deborah. That was perfect. I mean, labor, reproductive health care, guns, education. So I'm vice chair of the Virginia Beach School Board. The most envied job in America is school board. Just kidding. It's horrible. We have our issue of the week, and this week it is, actually we get two. We have book banning. Here's one of the books that's on the list. Good Trouble. Good Trouble. The most amazing. It's a quick read. Look, it's full of wonderful pictures and just an account of the civil rights movement. It's amazing. And this is on the list to be banned from our schools, among 5 other books. And how about the for Virginia Beach, the reintroduction of an anti-equity resolution, because we're going to bring up CRT again, because let's be ready for these October surprises. And so that's what's on tap for us tomorrow night. I expect that it will be another 10 plus hour meeting. But Deborah, Fennell, I'm proud of you. We're working hard. We're protecting our majority. We're expanding our majority. And we don't want to wake up on November 3rd with another Trump-like world just staring at us, because we just cannot go back. We absolutely cannot go back.
Yeah, I love what you just said, Kim, and I love what you said, Deborah. I think you guys are absolutely right. So because you said all the reasons why we can't go back, I just want to say the Republicans were in charge for 19 years, And then only now do we see some of the pieces of legislation that are so important to the everyday lives of everyday people finally get passed. What we have to figure out is how to help them see how important and how big that is. I often talk about us like, sort of like the frog in the water, and we're just sort of sitting there and it's nice and cozy and warm. And we have no idea that it's about to boil. So it's our responsibility to figure out how to get them out of the water, how to get everybody jumping out. And that's the enthusiasm and the excitement and the activation that we have to bring forward. The Republicans have a boogeyman, and it's everything. It is all of us. And we have to figure out who our boogeyman is that gets us up and activated and motivated. And I know we talk about how politics are all local, but democracy is everything. And for me, no matter what I talk about, at the bottom of everything, it is how important our democracy is, how important our voting rights are, how important it is that none of these things we talk about matter if we don't get people excited about the fact that we live in a democracy, and that Virginia right now is the bellwether for carrying that forward. So whatever we got to do to get big and bold, whatever we got to do to yell and scream to get people excited, I am just pulling out all the stops, because you know what? Win or lose, I cannot unsee the stuff that I have seen. And that means that no matter what, we have to push forward. But if we lose this thing, it's going to be so much harder. So that's why we have to give it everything we got to make sure that we keep this General Assembly blue. And that's why Virginia is important for everyone, because if we can do it, then we can do it across the country.
Amen. Amen.
I'm fired up now. Well, this is what this group is great at, is talking about things on social media, getting people fired up. So what's the best way to talk about Virginia? What issues matter the most? How do people really get everybody fired up?
Jamie, can I go again? So since I'm going to leave, I'm talking about this, I want to talk about my particular race. As you mentioned, in the last 2 cycles, this race has been lost with less than 200 votes. In 2018, the Democratic candidate came within 128 votes. In 2019, he came within 189 votes of flipping this seat. Our county here out in Chesterfield has the demographics have changed, and we need to have leadership that reflects that demographic. And when I win, I'm not going to say if, I will be the first African American to hold a leadership position here in Chesterfield County. And that's really big. That's really important here. And one of the things that's really exciting about this is that we got our recent polling back, and this race is neck and neck. We are in a dead heat. So I know we can flip the seat. And I think my opponent knows that, because last week she threw the kitchen sink at me. She can't run on her record. So she's actually bringing out all of the personal, racist, negative, untrue attacks against me, so she doesn't have to answer for her terrible, horrible record. And we can't sit by and let them do that. This is, they're turning Virginia into Trump country, just going on the negatives, going on the personal attacks, and, putting all that white noise out there to deflect from their very poor record of helping people, helping workers, working on our criminal justice, working on our environmental justice. And we need to start calling them out about that. We need to start saying, when you put my head on a white person's body, standing up, dancing like Al Joseph, that's racist. It's just racist. There's no other way to explain that. So I think we need to say, you need to stand on your record and stop deflecting and doing all these racist negative ads. We need to do something about that. And this race will be won determining on what we do in the next 3 weeks. And that's why it's so important. We need to get our message out that Democrats have delivered here in Virginia, that we don't want Virginia to go back. And this race is one of the #1 flip opportunities in Virginia. We're here as a firewall, just as the rest of my wonderful, wonderful candidates are today. We're here to help hold that majority and to expand that majority. And we've seen that this district in particular is just ripe for the flip. We have just got to get people out there knocking those doors. We got to get them out there, putting out yard signs, wearing a pen, wearing a t-shirt. That's free advertisement. That's right. We have got to get the message out. Don't listen to that noise. Don't listen to that deflection. Just look at where we are and what we have done. So that's why this race is important. And that's why all of our races are important. We have got to hold the majority first, but we have got to expand the majority.
Yeah, Deborah, I want to just jump on that because this is so important. And this is how the messaging has to be. What we have to let people think about is, again, Republicans have been 19 years. What did you see in 19 years? What did that do for you? It doesn't matter if you're Black or white. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, who you love, what you do. What happened for you in the last 19 years? Nothing. So here's what happens now. And here's what it looks like if we go backwards. And I think that when folks sort of think about that and understand what that means, then they start to think about, oh my God, I really got to get out and vote. Now, here's the really important thing. Don't assume people know what they should be doing. I'm knocking on doors, I'm making phone calls, and I still hear people say, oh, we can early vote? Oh, and so you just cannot make those assumptions. And so that's why the messaging is so important. One of the things that I will say to everyone that in terms of amplifying messages, and that is, if you have any resources at all to dig underneath and find those opportunities where people are, whether it's by phone or whatever, you know what? If you can get a team of people to make phone calls and they actually leave messages with good stuff on it, if you can't afford to do robocalls, then have your friends and family call and just leave messages. Remember, early voting is here until October 30th. Remember, the voting day is November 2nd. I'm the Democrat. I need your vote. Here's why. 10 seconds, just a message. Because if nothing else, if they hear nothing, you got nothing. But if you leave a message, at least there's a chance that that person will say, I better go do that tomorrow. So we got to just pull out all the stops and think differently about what we do and how we do it.
Wow,
Amen.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, you guys fire me up, and I'm with you. But we have early voting, which is so exciting in one location. Monday, it opens to 5 locations, and we have Sunday voting for the first time ever coming up soon. Souls to the polls, we're calling it, and we are excited. The local Dems in Virginia Beach have a huge party planned, and we're just gonna be rocking it. And it is about not being complacent, right? Like, and I tell people on the doors now, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. And again, everything that we all talked about, from labor to reproductive health to education, all of it is on the line. Your life does depend on it. And so we can't go back. And for me, my seat was once held by Bob McDonnell, the former governor. And Catherine, did you roll your eyes? And so it's never been held by a woman, and it's not been in the hands of a Democrat since 1992. And so I'm ready to flip this seat, and I'm ready to be the first woman to have it. So
Yeah, so we all got that. So I'd be the first woman as well. I'd be the first Black woman, and I'd be the first person of color since Reconstruction. So all of these seats symbolize something really big and unique. And we also know that when women hold these kinds of offices, statistics show that we always bring back more to our community. So that's another reason to vote for a woman.
yep.
I'd love to ask, I know one of the distinguishing characteristics of being a Democrat as opposed to a Republican is Democrats actually believe in governing. As you can see from the last couple of years when Democrats have held the assembly in Virginia. Now, they've been able to get a lot of great stuff done so far, but certainly not everything. So, you know, you guys all want to go to the assembly to get work done for the people. So what do you want to, like, what are your top priorities when you get in? What do you want to work on?
So it's not hard to ask any of us to go first. Deborah, do you want to go first since you got to go? Okay.
No, you can go first. I'm going to be here just a few more minutes. I don't want to hog the
It's having
first.
too much fun to leave.
I'll go really fast. Mine is really easy. So it's high-speed internet. It's infrastructure for us. We need people to have access to high-speed internet, and that's everywhere across the entire district. So if we get high-speed internet, 3 things happen. We get better healthcare because we get good telehealth. We get good education because our kids can at least, when they're not able to be in school, they can at least have access to their teachers online. The last thing, we have an opportunity to bring really, really good paying jobs to areas that don't have them, especially on our rural side of our district. So high-speed internet, good infrastructure like that, as well as water and sewage, is key and critical. And that's the first thing that I would just go to work on.
And I'll add fully funding public education, because Virginia is about 50th in for teachers' salary. It's abysmal. Only by the grace of Northern Virginia do we kind of bump up to about 78, but fully funding public education, as we are, as you know, in a national teacher shortage. We are 100 teachers short right now, and we're a month into school. And so it's not good. Prescription drug prices. I happen to have a daughter with an inflammatory eye disease that requires a pretty expensive eye drop just to keep her vision. And she spends, well, I did as her mother, spent a lot of money, and there's no choice. She has to have that medication. She also carries an EpiPen, and we know what's happened with EpiPens. And I think, Fennell, did you say something about, and I'm sorry, did you say?
So I said high school education, good paying jobs, and telehealth. That's what I said.
Okay.
Broadband.
Yeah, broadband. We learned that during COVID for sure. And also paid sick days, paid vacations, all of that, because I'm a business owner too. And I know my company is only as good as my employees. And we love our employees. They're our family. We treat them like family. And that's why some of them have been with us for 40 years. So that's just all so important.
And for me, it is early child. One of my biggest things is early childhood education, and that includes affordable, accessible, good childcare for women so they can get back in the workplace. So many people, in particular in our area, so many women have had to leave the workplace because of COVID. And the only way we're going to get them back in there is to let them know that their children are going to be safe, that they're going to be somewhere where they can be well cared for, that they can afford it, and it's not like a college tuition. And, you know, I've been on the board of Smart Beginnings RVA, and we focus on that 0 to 5, and that includes pre-K. It includes early childhood education, such as public and private childcare, having them to be certified, having them to be the quality that parents need to have to feel like it's comfortable for them to leave their kids and to go back into the workplace. And then secondly, it's like COVID recovery for everybody. There's so many people, we talked about, you know, having internet access and having jobs where they could actually work from home, but there's so many people who did not have that opportunity, and now they're struggling. I think people think they're just living off of that unemployment, but it is not doing it. It does not do that. As a former social worker, I know that is not enough money for people to live on. They just don't feel safe going back to work. And so we need to work on making sure that the mental health needs that are going to surface many, many years to come after that isolation during COVID, that we address some of those issues with adults and with children. And so those are going to be my focuses, you know, when elected.
And
I
none
want
of
to just,
extreme, right? I mean, all of this is basic. This is basic stuff. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. And that's why I'm just so thrilled to be, it's an honor for me to run against Glenn Davis to try to keep this moving forward. I mean, I'm honored for this opportunity.
yeah, there's two things I want to add really quick about early childhood education and childcare. 1 in 4 women opted out of the workforce because of childcare. So that just tells you how big that issue is. But a second thing that I feel really passionate about is our seniors. And especially when you're from a rural community where many of them did domestic work, housekeeping, whether it was agriculture, where they didn't make a lot of money. And so you have these households, once they retire, they're living on this fixed income. And then one of them passes away inevitably. And so you might say, well, I'll get the higher income, but you're still $600 or $700 or $800 short of where you were. So now we have widows and widowers who are really just right at the edge of poverty, if not in it. And so we do so much to take care of families with young children, and we've forgotten all about our seniors. And we've just really got to go back and take a look at that, because it is untenable, and it's just not the way that our seniors should be living. And yes, you fix prescription drugs because they do struggle with the choices there, but it is just living a life of decency and a life of goodness that we have taken away from them, and we must give it back.
I agree with that dignity that we need to afford them in their later years. And I can say that because I'm 65. I'm getting to be one of those seniors.
No,
And
you're
I also think it's just important for us to not just those families who have children, but those families who are sandwiched between taking care of their elderly relatives or parents and taking kids. And you know, those caregivers need to be able to have that paid sick and family leave. They need to be able to allow their relatives to grow old with dignity. And you're right, Fennell, that's so important. Coming from a fellow senior herself.
I think you guys might have to give out your secrets to how you look so good.
In the genes, it's in the genes.
I'm just saying, damn, I never would have guessed that.
I would not have either.
Oh, so, well, I'm fired up. I don't know about everybody else, but I am really fired up for this election now. I mean, these are the people that Democrats have running, people who care, they have empathy, they're doing this for the right reasons. And I'm so excited. And, you know, I mean, we have almost 70 people on this. We have over 70 people. You know, what can we do? Phone banks, tell us what we can do. Because we all need to come together, get involved. We saw what we did in 2018 when we all came together in 2019. We need to do it again in 2021.
Yeah, so I'll tell you for me what I need. And so I think I still try to figure out what does it take to get people motivated and excited. And what I still say is that every single person on this meeting tonight knows someone else. And every time you learn something and you share it with that person, they will share it up. And so it keeps on opening up opportunities across, and the circle just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's just how you amplify the message in person. Your Facebook pages. Reach out to someone in Virginia and say, hey, do you know so-and-so? Well, if you know someone, you need to call someone in Virginia and tell them how important it is for them to get out and vote, because they won't know that. And I'm still gonna just tell Kim and Debra, I am telling you, get to the data. This is for me too, because all we can do is all we can do. Get to the data as best we can, and don't leave a phone call or phone message unturned. And so if people want to make phone calls for us, it is going to be important. It's not about making 1,000 phone calls and talking to 10 people. To me, it's about making 1,000 phone calls and talking to 10 people and leaving 990 messages, so that somebody gets some information about what we're trying to do and how important it is for them to get themselves out and vote.
And I could not agree more with what Fanal said. And right now, in these last couple of days, it is so important that we touch these people in as many ways as we possibly can. My theme all along has been dollars and doors. I have not left that. Dollars and doors. I actually was in a sling up until today because I got tendonitis from knocking so many doors. So we have got to, I've averaged about 900 doors a month. So we have got to hit those doors. And if I'm going to ask other people to do that, I have to do it myself. And I have been doing that. So we cannot let up on the doors. We cannot let up on, the social media. We cannot let up on just talking to a neighbor. And like I said before, when I go to the grocery store, I have my pen or my shirt on. When I go anywhere, I have this on. And you'd be surprised at how many people pay attention to that and say something about that. So, and for me, the dollars is not just, it is for now to combat all these negative ads that are coming up on TV, because sometimes that's just white noise. But when you come within less than 200 votes, you can't afford to leave any vote on the table, as you said earlier, for now. So we've been still trying to get people registered to vote just before the end of that time. We're trying to make sure people understand about absentee voting and how you have to cure your ballot, how you have to make sure you get a witness signature that that's no longer in effect with COVID anymore. So it's about educating voters that you can early vote, where you can early vote, that we're going to have, as Kim mentioned, souls to the polls. We need to take that day and use that, to get our people out. So it's like any way you can amplify any of those messages, it's just going to be so helpful to all three of us. And again, there is somebody from my campaign on here, and I'm going to hop off in a minute, but I just want to thank you ladies. I am so honored to be on the panel with you guys. I love you to death. And I want to thank DemCast for having me, and all those people out there listening. Please, anything you can do to get our word out, we are appreciative of that.
Love you too. Keep fighting. We're proud of you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
And I want to say that Postcards for VA has addresses for all these three candidates. And most of the postcard programs, you're just writing generic GOTV, vote in Virginia. But at Postcards for VA, you write the postcard for Fanel, for Debra, or for Kim. And so go over there and write. You still have a week to write for them. And what we found from all these postcard studies is, in a tight race, postcards can make a world of difference. So, because it's not just one touch, it's one of many touches, but it's a touch that they get from a real person.
Yep. And the obvious, phone banking, because people are from around the country. If you can take a day and phone bank for us, or text, all of that is deeply appreciated. And I mean, that matters. I love to knock the doors because people are shocked and they say, you're the kid, it's you? Like nobody's ever knocked my door before that, so it's important. They want to see you. They want to hear from you, but they love to hear from others too about you.
So Kim, so you have texting for your campaign? Jamie was asking me who's got texting going in Virginia.
Cameron, do we have texting? Cameron's on. I know I had texting during the primary. Are we doing that? No, I thought we were. So Cameron's gonna tell me. I can hear her laughing. Okay, there you go. We'll get you texted with our organizer. We have a field day. He's awesome. I have people that show up every week. We have canvas lunches every week. It's great, y'all. I mean, just keeping it going.
And I have dropped all three of their campaign videos on Twitter in the chat. So please go and amplify them. So
Yeah.
make sure you're following them on Twitter, amplify them. We've used some of these guys on power lunches, helping to spread their videos, and their videos are compelling. I mean, they're very good. So.
And boy, the power lunches, those power lunches just really just get me ready for the weekend with canvassing. They're so uplifting and so motivating. And, you can't hit a brick wall. And if you do, you go to power lunch and it's unbelievable.
This is politically incorrect, but my husband calls it my crack call. I need it. It's my boost for the week. It's the thing that I look forward to the most.
They're great calls.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Right.
You know what else? So candidates aside for a second, anywhere in the US, anybody who lives in an area where school board members are being attacked, send your school board members a message and say, we may not be there speaking because we're supporting you from the sidelines, but send a school board member a message and say, we've got your back. We appreciate what you do, because this is the national playbook, right? And so we're seeing this across the nation. This isn't just in Virginia. This is everywhere. Ours is just amplified right now because, we have this off-year election. And so it's a hot mess. And they mean everything they say in these meetings. This is where we will go. And I'm going to hold this up again. We will be banning books in Virginia. We will be Texas for reproductive care. We will, every stride they've made with guns, it's going right out the window. And of course, education, that's my thing. I'm a 17-year veteran of the classroom. I have grave concerns about education in Virginia, and we're doing incredibly well. Voter rights. I mean, look what we're doing now. Early voting, Sunday voting. It's just get out the vote, and all of that literally will be wiped away. So,
you know what? This is what I was thinking. So Nick and Jamie, the way that you guys do DemCast, the way that you amplify across Twitter. You guys know this better than I do. The people who are on Twitter are not always the same people who are on Facebook, who are not the same people who do this. And so what if, every person who's on Twitter really committed to reaching out to someone who wasn't on the social media that they are, whether it's a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, someone who's out of your generation, to talk to them about the importance of what's going on. Because I think that human conversation with someone that you typically don't talk with, but is a member of your family, it might go a long way in terms of that thing that I talk about, where when I talk to a new family member about an issue that they hadn't thought about, now they're the messenger for someone else. They're responsible for carrying that forth. And maybe that's how we get the messages from being amplified here to sort of getting out to this grassroots of people that we're having such a difficult time building enthusiasm and momentum with. That's
a fantastic idea. It sounds like a challenge. It sounds like we need to do a VA VA homestretch challenge. We'll noodle on that. That's a great idea.
And people, you're the best messenger. And even if you're not in Virginia, there's a good chance you have a local election coming up in November, whether it's city council or school board. A lot of school boards in off election years so that there's no turnout.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Kim, you just got asked a question in the Q&A.
I'm also getting tweets. It's awesome.
Oh,
We're really good at that part.
so Kim, the question you just got asked was, I just got a GOP email to return my ballot and they raise, along with others, they have parental oversight and participation versus control and indoctrination by bureaucrats and teachers unions. How do we counter this messaging? Other messaging was about lower taxes, no COVID lockdowns, and bringing photo ID laws back.
If I hear indoctrination one more time, I'm going to scream. I don't know how to counter that when it comes to the education piece about indoctrination. Fennell, are you getting the same thing in Accomack? Like it's such a slap in the face to our educators who get up every morning, who are teaching even through the Delta variants. We've reopened our schools. We're doing everything we can. We're being as transparent as possible. And this is what people want to say now. Like everything we're doing is good. We're moving forward. We're doing all of these amazing things. And now it's about indoctrination. We are not indoctrinating our children. We are not teaching critical race theory. We have culturally responsive practices. And who doesn't want that, right?
I know some of the teachers here have been countering that, and school board members with, we're not indoctrinating students, we're teaching them critical thinking skills to think for themselves.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
that has seemed to, at some of our school board meetings, shut the other side down because they're not sure how to counter that.
Yeah, well, so in Virginia, though, what they're tending to do is it started with critical race theory. And when that wasn't really sticking, then they're just going to throw a couple other things under there. So now social emotional learning is critical race theory. And anything else that you do, equity is critical race theory. And so they just keep piling it on. I just keep repeating the same thing and hope that people start understanding, and we as a board stick together. Luckily, I'm part of a majority, and we just stick together and we just try to combat it as best we can, but it's just not true.
Yeah, if I could jump in, so there's a couple of things that I've gotten at the door when I'm knocking, and I'll start with critical race theory. I haven't gotten that one at the door yet, but I think the best comeback for me would be, well, can you just explain to me what critical race theory is? Because I'd like to know what you think it is. And if we're indoctrinating kids, can you please tell me what you think that is? Because I think that when you push people back and say it, what you find is that they're just repeating something that they heard, and they really don't have any idea what it is, because it's a really complicated subject. And I think when you sort of push them on it, they really don't know. And I think that sometimes, they can get their message out, in a three words, critical race theory. And I think that someone said, I heard on TV or something, that they had said it on Fox News like thousands of times. And then after they said it so many times, the next thing you knew, it was being used as this thing. So they have critical race theory, and that's all they need. And they just throw that out there. And then we're trying to use 1,000 words to describe what it is to combat what they say. And so I think the best argument is, well, can you tell me what critical race theory is then? Because I like to know what you think we're teaching. So I think the best way to do it is just to throw their own language back at them and make them explain and describe what they think it is. And then you say, well, no, it's not that. Just move on. And so that's what happens, and they are listening, because someone said to me when I was knocking on the door, she said, and I got this multiple times about something that was on the debate about education, that Terry McCullough doesn't want parents to be involved in education. And what do I think about that? And so they do hear these things, and then they just come back with them, and they want you to, tell them, well, that's really terrible because I'm a parent and I want to be involved in my kids' education. So I think that that's the kind of thing that we have to really talk about. And they obviously sit down and think about this stuff. So we have to think about it too and figure out the most simplistic way to come back and then just be quiet and let them now be quiet too, because they really won't have anything else to say.
And of course,
Yeah, and the research has shown that Republican voters vote off of fear, Democratic voters vote based off of hope. And that's what the Republicans are trying to do, is stoke that fear.
every week,
Yep.
every week it's fear. Yep.
But I'm scared.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm scared of what it would be like to live with a Republican governor. I'm scared of what it would feel like to have senators, to have a Republican Senate for the next 10 years. I'm scared of looking like Texas. I'm scared of looking like Georgia. And that's what pushes me forward. I have this hope and passion around goodness, but I also have this reality of what it would be like to live in a Republican dominated world. And that's scary to me. Just being candid.
That's good.
Terrifying. That's why we've been fighting for 5 years now, hasn't it?
Mhm.
We're terrified, but Democrats also go off that power of hope, the power of change, because we know that we can. Back to Obama, hope and change, and yes, we can, because we know we can do that,
Yes.
even if the Senate moves painfully slow.
Yes.
And
Yes,
what
they-
gives us hope in Virginia are our amazing delegate candidates. We really have
That's the
fabulous
truth.
delegate candidates, and one is better than the next. And we just are so blessed that we have Fennell, we have Kim, we have Debra, and the list just keeps going.
It does.
No, I agree. And I'll back Robin on that. And I go back to 2017. How we won is we didn't know better. That was one thing. We just did. We didn't think too much. We didn't see the sausage making. We weren't freaked out. And we just did. And we supported the delegates. And that's really what brought the win. The top of the ticket really wasn't what drove most people to canvass and get out the vote. And we're still in that situation. So I think if we stay focused, this is where we can bring home the win. And that's, our hope is to try to really get people engaged and get you all. I mean, if we can get your commercials on TV, I believe we will win. This is what I really believe.
And if you haven't seen some of the commercials for them,
they're good.
I know that they're part of the Twitter group of tweets that they have for each one of these candidates. They're fabulous. And you get to see you've seen how amazing they are, where you get to share it with others through those videos.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a tweet storm on Thursday to coincide with the women's rally. And I believe there's 2 candidates who don't have their videos up on Twitter, but the rest of them, there's actually going to be a whole sharing section that says show, Twitter videos. So let's blast those out.
That's awesome.
And then when we do have the joint fundraiser up for these fabulous candidates tonight as well. So if you've got a few bucks, please consider donating. We really want to flip these seats.
Oh, I like Peggy's, she just put in her tweet she did. I just got off a Zoom call with this great candidate in Virginia. Can we get more followers for her? And she did it for Debra, but that's a great one to use for all 3 of these fabulous candidates we've had today.
Mhm.
We'll have Nick do a tweet. He's pretty good at getting some followers for people.
All
He's
right.
got the
Nick.
magic touch.
Well, does anybody else have any questions for our awesome, amazing candidates here before we start to wrap things up? And also Robin and Catherine, if you have any other we talked about the Thursday activities at the beginning of the call, but anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
Well, let's see, for the Friday Power Lunch, we're gonna do another roundup with all of our candidates on the last Friday before Election Day. Election Day is November 2nd. So on October 29th, that Friday, we're gonna do a big show, inviting all the candidates to come. So if you can't get enough of Fennell and Kim and all of our candidates this Thursday, you can get with all of them again on the 29th.
We
Well,
were gonna
Robin,
scare,
you
yeah,
should-
and that's Halloween weekend, so we're gonna scare the hell out of everybody, so they'll vote. Boo!
You
We
guys,
don't want
you
the
guys should wrap
Republicans
up
to
with
win.
your, we believe we can win video tonight.
Oh,
You want me to? Okay, you
Oh,
keep
yeah, let's
talking, I'll
do
get it
it.
up. I'll
Yeah.
get it
I
up.
love it.
Because if you guys have not been on the Power Lunch, they start out with this video.
Well,
And
we have a song every week, but we do use, for the Women's Summit, that was our SIG. That was our signature, for sure. We're gonna be playing it the 29th, and we'll be playing it at the pre-show on Thursday for the rally. And probably during it too. You know us. Gonna have some fun.
And then we've got some text banking questions. We are trying to find out if there's any text banking. So if we find any, we will let you guys know.
Yeah, and that's weird, you know, Jamie, so I went to the Democratic Party, what is that, Virginia Turning, whatever, Turnout Project.
Yeah.
And they do have a website. I cannot find, and I asked about the text banking, which is really strange, and maybe Sister District or somebody's doing it. We'll look again.
I
they're
looked
doing
under
phone
Sister
banking.
District, Swing Left today.
Nothing still.
Nothing's, I looked under indivisible groups. I found nothing, and I looked for over an hour. And then I called Robin.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I don't understand this. I'm doing Reach, though. We're doing that app but that's really if you're in Virginia. And it's
Right.
really, it's just a pain in the ass. I really did all my friends myself and just told them to vote rather than use I'm like, I'm just gonna like text all the people I know. Yeah, so I don't understand that, but there is phone banking. And so maybe that is the answer, and so we don't go looking too long. Thanks. Go ahead, Robin, you got it? Robin is the master getting it up. I'm trying to think of anything else. There we go.
There
I
we go.
believe we'll
This is
win.
the best one. Here we go.
Robin, check your share.
No, it spreads faster than any virus. Fear. When it comes to fear, you can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. Let me tell you what I believe. I believe we're gonna face everything and rise. It's not how you fall, it's how you.
I chose the wrong one.
I like that one.
That was a good one, though.
Get the
Sorry.
upgraded one, and then when you do, Robin, check the share video thing. Was a little bit hard to
Alright.
hear, but go ahead. Yeah, hey, it's
Okay.
okay. We have so much content. Sorry.
I know, we have so many versions of this that,
Oh, and we have the Great Women's March one she made too that we'll be showing on Thursday night. That's what we do. We just plot and do stuff. My new thing is putting up signs as I drive down the street.
Excellent.
And when I bike, it's also the same thing. Yeah, pretty good. That's one thing we're having here. It's so funny. And while she's finding that is such low hanging fruit we have to get better at. We should have told every voter they can vote early just with a simple postcard, you know, so. But I believe we'll win because here we got the video.
Is that the same one?
It always is the same start, but I
Oh.
can't hear it yet. Robin?
the audio isn't
Forget
working.
everything and run.
Now it is,
You can face
but I can't see it.
Can't see, okay.
Well, I don't think our video idea is working out too well tonight.
No, it's not.
Well,
It's okay.
We'll do it.
Okay.
We can add it to our
All
to our
right,
webpage and stuff too. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know where that one is. I've got so many versions of it.
it's all good.
Well, we cannot thank everybody enough for joining tonight. Let's rock out Virginia. Let's make sure that these 3 badass women get elected. So, because they are.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm
All
on a
right.
mission now.
Here you go. Here they are. Here's all our candidates.
Bottom line, no matter what, face everything and rise.
You know what was
Ah.
amazing about that? Did you notice how beautifully diverse that was? All the candidates from Virginia that are running,
Yes.
how diverse, that it's representative of our Commonwealth. And if you look at the Republican ticket, each one would be a white man, white man, white man, white man. The whole, I mean, it.
I believe that we are white. I believe that white nationalists. Did I say that on TV? We're
did.
white
Okay,
nationalists.
it was good. But that makes
And you guys, I just want to say, this Act Blue for these 3 badass women, $544 in this hour.
oh, thank you, everybody.
Well done, and we'll keep adding to it.
Yes.
I'm pumped up.
Yes.
That video is a great way to wrap up our call. Can't thank Fennell and Kim enough for joining us, and Debra too, and of course Catherine and Robin. So
So I have one more. Do you want to see Virginia women marching around the state for women's rights?
It's real
Sure.
good.
It's
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Hey, Nick, and I have a challenge for you guys. We want a Glenn Youngkin ad with the insurrection and the Republican Party behind him. We need to just have his little, Mr. Rogers thing. And it's just like, this is, Virginia, we need to link them too and have that happening behind him while he's saying all this, like, make Virginia great again.
let's have a call.
Let's work on that.
I bet we can get that done.
I know somebody who will.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think it's Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay, this is how we'll go out. Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Great, Robin.
and I know.
I know, I'm your friend. Go ahead.
Yes, okay,
Well,
got it. there.
right before you guys started, thank you so much for
Thanks,
to
everybody.
Kim and Fennell for joining us.
Thank
Let's
you.
make sure they get elected.
Yep.
Right. Good night, everybody.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Nick.
guys.
Thank you.
Jamie. Rock on.
Rock on.
Let's
We
go
will win.
We will win.
I believe that we will win.
get 'em. Bye.
Bye for now.
Thanks again.
Bye, guys.
Bye.